It's the Al Travis Show, and we love having Shannon Watson in here with the majority in the middle. Shannon, how are you for your after your big long holiday weekend?
I'm good. I worked through most of it, but
It's unfortunate. What all did get done? Can you fill us in on the latest? What happened over the weekend? Everything's
yeah,
done, wrapped up with a bow. They're going to come vote on everything, be done today. Is that the?
wouldn't
No,
that
what?
be lovely? No, that didn't happen. I think
Ow.
a lot of the, well, like they were committees and conference committees.
Mhm.
Those aren't actually, when you're not in legislative session, those aren't for real. So they've been having these quote unquote working groups. And I'm not sure how many of them actually met over the weekend. I think like last weekend of session, since everybody works, Saturday, Sunday,
Yeah.
Monday, a lot of those working groups just kept going Tuesday,
Mhm.
Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. The one that was meeting in public was the taxes working group. And at like 6 o'clock on Friday, they said, "All right, we're coming back on Tuesday."
And I don't have any problem with that. To be quite frank, if it gets done today, it gets done next Friday. These things not matter not to me. They can fight it out. But let's talk a little bit about the working groups issue.
Yeah.
So for folks that we have conference committees, and when those conference committees get, those are open meetings, and folks like Shannon Watson can go there and watch and make sure that things are done in an upfront and welcome way. But for whatever reason, when we get to a special session, that means a lot of rules are gone.
Rules do
We,
not apply.
we
Yeah.
now call them working groups, and those don't have to be in front of people like Shannon Watson or others who want to watch this for me. In your line of work, Shannon, you must
Yes.
admit that is not transparent. That is a horrible, horrible, horrible look.
Yeah, I struggle with this actually, and I've been thinking about a lot about it because there is the one group that is meeting publicly and they're having discussions. And they are, they have the meeting and they talk about
Mhm.
the things and they do the votes. That's the thing. Like to vote on anything, they still would have to meet in public.
Yeah, but
But
that's what somebody said that in the take the yes on Friday that
yeah,
they go to all their work and then they just get together to vote yes or no because they already had the tough talk before. Well, that's
right.
the tough talk that we want to know about. Who held out for what? Why did they end up doing this negotiation? All that is off the board because it can be done. It's sorry, behind closed doors. It's wrong. It doesn't.
Well,
It's
and
not
that's
good.
and that's the thing. The thing that I have been really interested in this last week with the one group that is sort of meeting publicly is you're getting a little bit of the really sort of intense wrestling kind of conversation. Who's going to give
Yeah.
this up and whatever. Those conversations are actually still happening behind the scenes. Even though we've got this one group that's meeting public, they're also meeting behind the scenes. And so what we get in the public facing on camera meeting is a lot of campaign speeches.
Oh yeah. Oh,
Right.
we are making commercials for next year already. I agree.
Absolutely. We are making commercials for this week in real time,
Yeah.
which is unfortunate. And so the one thing that meeting behind this, and this is why I wrestle with this, I think sometimes the cameras and the public performance of it, I
Mhm.
feel like sometimes that gets in the way of creating good policy because people are so worried about what they're saying and what they're
Yeah.
going to get, what their opponent is going to use against them, or
Yeah.
why their friends are going to be mad. So sometimes I don't know if the cameras really
See,
do us a
no,
favor.
this is where things get good for me. This is where it makes it, and I'm going to use Senator Fateh again, because I
Yes.
give him all the credit in the world. He took the Uber thing. He thought that was big for him. He took that to the mat, if you'll pardon the
Yeah.
wrestling. He took it to the mat last year. He is one of those with the Medicare for Minnesota Care for illegal immigrants.
Right.
He was one of those. Fine. I give him credit for standing up there. But this is the hinge pin that everybody's been talking about. If they fold, if they say, oh, okay, we're going to go with the majority here and do that, I would want very much to know what he gets in return. And I mean, what I mean by that is,
Mhm.
hey, next session, your thing comes up first thing. Okay, we're going to give you our solemn pledge. He's going to
Right.
get, so that negotiating, what does it take to fold? Because either, and again, I give him credit because I think he's a man who stands on his principles. If he is that guy, he will go to the mat again. Or if he's making a stand and they say, okay, but that other thing and the thing that you really wanted, we'll put it in. Well, now I know whether he means it or not, and I want to know that. And again,
Right.
I just use him as an example because he stood up so hard last time.
Yeah.
I want to know. And if we don't get to know, it all goes behind the scenes. It just comes back, all right, all yay, we're there. That's
Right.
ishy. Ishy is a great word in politics. It's ishy.
Ishy. Yes, it's ishy. One of the things that it's hard to remember is that a lot of these conversations, like a lot of the real conversations, have been happening behind the scenes the entire time, because caucus meetings, which even if you would have like a quorum of and this is where a lot of the open government sunshine laws,
the
legislature made it so that those rules aren't subject to them. Like you could,
1990, they voted on that. I read that. Yes.
Right.
Go ahead.
You could put in a Freedom of Information request to your local city council and get all of their emails that apply to some specific topic, some zoning thing, or a horse getting out, or whatever. You could like get that information. You can make the same request of the legislature and it will come back. The Minnesota legislature is not subject to Freedom of Information Act stuff. So like you can't get that contents of their email or their calendar or whatever. So even when the party caucuses meet in their thing, those have never been public meetings. They never will be public meetings. A lot of the decisions and a lot of that like horse trading that you're talking about, that's where that has been happening the whole time. And then of course in the House with no majority because they're tied.
Yeah.
It's usually the minority that's the ones that's part of their job to sort of scream about access and public, access and visibility and all of these things. Since there isn't a minority party to scream about that, everybody's sort of party to the discussion.
Yeah, it's an interesting time when you have 201 legislators, 101 to 100, right? Yeah. It's an interesting time because who can complain? Everybody's looking for the one weak link, and I mean that in a district somewhere where they can get them to fall your way. But it doesn't seem like a lot of people are following one or the other. Here's what I wanted to do. Let's go to break real quick. When we come back, two pieces of legislation. One went nowhere. One I thought was going to get past the finish line, and according to House DFL leader Melissa Hortman, it's dead on arrival, and we haven't got there. And this one's driving me nuts. I want to talk about. Oh, you knew what it was, Shannon. Yeah, we'll talk about that coming up here in just a matter of moments on the Al Travis Show. It's Shannon Watson with Majority in the Middle. MajorityMiddle.com. She's Shannon Watson, executive director, the gal who started the whole thing. Majority in the Middle, MajorityMiddle.com. Shannon, so very early on, and this, I use this one because everyone in my golf group, all of my friends are in the same boat. The idea that we're ripped off so easily on a lot of this fraud and a lot of this stuff that's going on, Democrat, Republican, it's got to stop. And I think average ducks like us just make sense. Make it stop. Now, I'm not saying that's easy, but early in the session, I want to say it was in the House, when they first started all getting back together, one of the first things the Republicans pushed was for a law that said if you work for the state of Minnesota and you suspect fraud, you must turn it in. That was all. And again, back talking to my buddies, it's like, you don't have to do that now? We seem a little shocked that if you think something's being done wrong, you don't have to turn it in. But I said no, and they on a party line vote voted that down. So that went nowhere. But this Office of Inspector General, we've had Senator Gustafson on many times. Love her. I 100% the second she got on and told me about this, said, I'm on it. We're behind it. Let's get this thing done. Yeah. This waste drives me nuts. According to Melissa Hortman, this bill dies now. And this is what folks will not believe me. This would cost almost $9 million. So we can't do it. A budget of $66 billion. The idea that we have somewhere around $600 million in fraud. We can't come up with the $9 million to stop the fraud. Shannon, does anybody believe that? I talking to the golf with my buddies. They won't spend $9 to save $600.
Right.
Name another time in your life. They're like, oh, I'm not buying that. That's going to save me too much money. No one believes that, Shannon. This is besides the creeping around back doors, don't have your public meeting. This to me is it's heinous to the rest of us.
Yeah.
You can't tell me why.
Yeah, I will say that was probably like I try not to have favorites, but that was probably my favorite bill this year.
I get favorites. I have favorite children of mine. I have no problem calling you. This was my favorite. And like I say, she's been on the program. It just makes bloomin' sense.
Well, and one of the reasons that this is my favorite bill in the Senate, Senator Gustafson is the chief author, but she worked very, 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 very closely with Senator Michael Kroon from Blaine as well. And those two really like tag team this bill. They did something that was unusual. They co-presented in committee, like they both sat there in committee and they answered questions and talked about the bill. And that's highly unusual. It was a little more usual, like once they started doing it, and they kind of insisted on it, which was awesome. And they met with staff and with their counterparts in the House, and it was a bipartisan, bicameral every Tuesday night. They met for a few hours and worked on the bill, and it went through, I think it was 10 different engrossments. So like, lots of changes to it and lots of refining and answering questions and finding unintended consequences. And that bill passed the Senate 60-7.
Yeah.
Yes.
You're ticking me off. Yes, you are 100%. This is why it has to pass. Go ahead.
Yes. Now, I think Melissa Hortman, very smart. Also, bill is never dead until the end of a biennium. We've just gotten through the first year. So I think by dead, what she was meaning was this isn't going to be part of special session negotiations.
2025, yeah.
That bill, right. If that bill doesn't come back up in year 2, I would be highly, highly, highly surprised. They just sort of have to work it out, and the committee path through the House didn't have the same thing. Although that being said, like the procedural motion that they brought up in the House at 10:30 on Monday night, right before adjournment, to try to declare an urgency. It's what you declare an urgency, and they say we're gonna skip some of the normal process with this bill. It was all Republicans and 3 Democrats that voted for that. Unfortunately, to declare an urgency, you need a bigger margin, and they didn't get there. But if that had just been a up or down vote, it would have passed in the House as well.
See, but again, all the games they play and the stuff they do, got it. It all got rules. But to tell me you don't have $9 million to prevent fraud, I mean, it's just so hard to swallow. And I sit there and again, we've had Hortman. I like her.
Yeah.
I don't know who wrote that answer. It was horrid. Nope, we're going to get it. This is not going to stick us up, trip us up this year. It will be the first thing we do next year. Got to get this thing done. There's an answer.
Yeah.
It just costs too much. I can't. That's $9 million is such a drop in the bucket in this entire budget process.
It is, but there's also lots of drops in the bucket that didn't make it, that had been in the bucket before and did not make it as well. So, I mean, they have.
Well, we haven't seen that yet, right? Have you decided how that's going to bust down? Do we know that yet?
How the budget's going to come out?
Yeah, you say that a lot of things aren't in there that were in there. Everyone's fighting to keep their stuff in there. Has anything actually literally been taken out? I say that I think one thing they agree on, but it's not done, is even the insurance for unemployment insurance for teachers and that not teachers, but
yes,
the summer guys,
paraprofessionals, and
even that they put in $100 and some million to do that for one more year or one more set of years, so everybody doesn't get it pulled out right away. I'm not saying right and wrong, but
and they took that from something else that it was for a train. They took the money from that. And because that's the trade-off. It's not necessarily, hey, we got a big pot of money. It's we've already divvied it out into all the little buckets, and who's going to get their bucket taken back? And that's where the fight really is.
It'll be interesting to see. I just open the doors, open the windows. Let's watch. What is Shannon's prediction to get done this week?
I hope so. There's some extra urgency to get it done before June 1, because if you don't have it done before June 1, then you got to send layoff notices and stuff. And then it keeps messing with everybody's summer plans.
Yeah, well, that's true. People have graduations, things they got to get done.
Right.
Shannon, love having you on. I love Majority in the Middle. How does someone get involved? What do they got to do to play along?
Come to our website, majoritymiddle.com or .org. We have both. And the easiest sort of point of entry is to subscribe to our newsletter. It's 2 or 3 times a month. I promise not to spam you. And if you want to send us a few dollars, we are a nonprofit organization and we would appreciate it. And
we love what you do. Thank you for coming to the program, Shannon. I really do.
Thanks,
I appreciate
sir.
you. All right, Shannon Watson, Majority in the Middle, majoritymiddle.com, majoritymiddle.com. More right after this on the Al Travis Show.